In a world where nuclear war has begun, vampires fought back in super real 3D.
Adobe is pretty fantastic. I started with graphic design at graphic design class back over at the Lively Technical Center under Elise Batchelor. And I did graduate from the graphic design program, but that was my first experience actually really getting into computers instead of just video games and home consoles. And also Adobe products. And Adobe has gone from being, these hard copy versions that you purchase of different suites to being this subscription-based service on a cloud where you pay $50 a month and you have access to every single type of software that they make, which is pretty fantastic. So because of that, I've been able to explore other stuff outside of the graphic design stuff with Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, and then also outside of the film production stuff with Premiere and After Effects and Adobe Audition and stuff like that. I've been able to go outside of that realm and even get into other things like Adobe Muse, for instance. I built my entire website with Adobe Muse, which is like a web designing software that you don't have to know HTML code for, which is great. But you still have to have some skills with Photoshop to kind of pull it together and a little bit of general knowledge of, cutting and pasting and embedding a little bit of code. I feel like it should be like stock issue, like if you have a computer, like you should just have Adobe. If you're interested in doing anything artistic with your computer, you should just have Adobe. It just covers so much ground that it's ridiculous. And Premiere has been fantastic. And one of the things that they've added to Premiere that's really up to the game is not only that it can handle a lot of different types of filming codecs, all in the same timeline, but they also implemented now pretty substantial color grading suite right there inside of Premiere called Lumetri. And when you open up this Lumetri panel, you're able to do a lot of good color adjustments that otherwise I've had to use plugins for, which are additional pieces of software that I connect to Adobe that give me all these other tools. Now I still use those, but Lumetri has become probably 70% of my workflow in creating the color grades that I do. And anyway, color grading is a whole other animal. I'd like to talk about that in another episode. But if your kids are interested in getting into anything with design, I really recommend that you just go with Adobe from the get-go. I mean, the way that they're evolving stuff and everything they offer for the price, in my opinion, is there's nothing that matches it right now. So go Adobe, and no, I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. But I definitely love Premiere. I have some hiccups here and there, but I also request for it to do some crazy stuff sometimes. So anyway, if you would like to know more, I'm going to talk about cameras and stuff next, like what I use and why I went with Sony for my cameras. You can hit the subscribe button, please do, and I will try to be putting these out once a week.
Movie Voice.